Japan finally raises its interest rate from near zero up 0.25%. That had a big effect on the market. We felt that the last few days. This is not really necessarily new news, but we're going to talk about it a little bit here. It feeds into some of the things we're talking about. Bitcoin did a pretty big slide. We were aware that it hit some of our targets. That was pretty cool to see, and also super scary for a short amount of time. We also saw some of our favorite Bitcoin miners fall, a little bit of a rebound coming through. We're going to talk about all that right now. As we saw with that rate, so that interest rate increase from Japan sent the market absolutely reeling on fears of a global recession. And the US Fed called an emergency meeting, further feeding those fears. And we saw here from Bitcoin, we got down to a level of 49,559, which is solidly within the area I was saying that we could go. Now, if we watch very carefully here, you can see right here on the chart on August 5th, we came down way below and then right up to the bottom of my descending channel here for Bitcoin. Just went right up to it. The candle closed there. Very interesting. The next day it opened right on that line as well and started to move up, and now we're failing a little bit, so we're getting a little bit of a resistance here from the bottom here right at 55.7, 55.6 on our way back inside of the ATR bands. That's not necessarily good. We could end up using the ATR band here. You see it, the blue one. We could end up using this as a level of resistance that keeps us under it for a little while. That's not great. Last time we were under this thing, we went flat for a couple of weeks. Actually, it was just like flat. So we might find ourselves just stuck under this, not really going higher, but not really going lower for a little while on Bitcoin. One thing that is nice is we see that the bars here on the MACD are turning white again instead of red. We are still in bear territory for the RSI. Let's take a look at how the weekly looks for Bitcoin. The weekly, not terrible. Printing, if we get a little bit higher here by the end of the week, like say we close out the week around 56.5, 56.6, that's going to look like a hammer at the bottom of the move. That would be quite nice. Something similar to like what we saw back here on April 29th or April 15th. Now we might see a hammer and continue to go down until we get another hammer and then on our way up, but that is a good bullish sign for things to come. On the weekly, we did not get outside of the ATR bands. We went right up to the bottom of them, right? And then started crawling back up. Let's see where that landed actually on the weekly. That came, it came so close to touching this wick right here from January 8th on the weekly. If you watch the ATR bands at all, we blew through like all of them all the way up to the 3-day. We went even below the 3-day on the ATR band, which is a pretty big drop. Like Bitcoin doesn't do that often. The last time they did that before the last drop, I mean, we did it right here in July, on July 5th, and then again on August 5th, about a month later. But before that, the last time we went through the bottom of the 3-day ATR band was all the way back in August 2023, so a year ago. And of course, that was met with flat movement largely until late September, and then it started taking off in mid-October, which is kind of what I'm expecting to happen now. I'm expecting things to be relatively flat or a little bit whippy back and forth, not really going anywhere, trading in a range until we get to that late September, mid-October range, and then that's when I'm expecting things to get quite bonkers here. And oh man, there we go. No, there it is. Okay, I'm on the iPad. It's a little bit more difficult. So let's take a look at some of our favorite Bitcoin miners here. So we had yesterday, things went up a little bit. We came way down. We went through some pretty bad stuff. Let's take a look at CleanSpark real fast. So CleanSpark real fast here went to the bottom of our channel here, all the way to the bottom of it. Notice how it went to the bottom and then came back up above that pink line. That's actually really good. That's showing strength. It's showing that CleanSpark does not want to be in that sub $10 level, and that is great. I would love it not to be down there. Kind of wish I had some buy orders set down there, but that's okay. I can buy more at $12. That's all right. I did sell about 20% of my bag around $16, and I am slowly buying back that portion of my bag around $12. It was a small amount. Like when I started seeing it close underneath the yellow here, that's when I was saying, hey, that's going to be a problem. and I sold a little bit of my bag, and I have been buying it back around 12 bucks. Okay, so that's not bad. CleanSpark doing that. We do need to see it come and do a gap up and go here. Now that was on the 3-day where it came up above that midline for the not the ATRs, but for the fib band. We're still below the lower band of the ATR, so we do have a lot of room up from where we are right now. A lot of the risk was taken off the table there when it came down so dramatically. Let's take a look back at Bit Digital. Bit Digital really fell hard here. Yeah, it came all the way. Oof, man, it went all the way down to 230 for a little while there. That's pretty rough. But we are back inside the ATR bands for Bit Digital. Honestly, we could see this thing come up back up to 330 pretty easily without a lot of difficulty, as long as we don't get another set of really bad news here come out for it. And 330 all the way up to like 360. We could move before getting any significant resistance. You can see that there actually was a bit of a head and shoulders play here. So like shoulder, head, shoulder, boom, came all the way down to the bottom of that move. A lot of these are coming down to the bottom of bearish structures that presented themselves right as the drop came in. Bit Farms actually fell all the way down to 165. Also, Riot has increased their hold. I think it's over 16% now in the company. They're going to push it probably all the way up to 19.9% just to avoid that poison pill. We're aware of that. We are back inside the ATR bands for Bit Farms. On Bit Farms, hanging out around $2. Yeah, we would need to see this thing. We can go all the way up to 242 on Bit Farms without seeing any major resistance here on the way down. We are at support, so if it goes any lower, we're going to have a real bad time with basically all of them. They're all sitting on support right now. So honestly, and this is not financial advice and not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever, every one of these miners is sitting on support without very much resistance. Like Mara doesn't find resistance until 1980 again. That's where it finds resistance. And support, it's on it. So, and it came all the way down to 13 bucks. Oof, that's good. Mara, right now, I've been buying calls. So I bought calls on Mara. I bought calls on CleanSpark. I sold puts on IREN. I bought more IREN. I did sell a little bit of my Bit Digital and my Bit Farms during the fall, like near the upper part of the fall, because I want to have some money for 2 days from now. Actually, it's not even 2 days from now. I think it might even be tomorrow now. I'm not exactly sure what day it is. For MicroStrategy, when they do their split, because I need cash to run a wheel on MicroStrategy, so I ended up having to sell. Now, I did sell in profit. I didn't sell any red bags. I sold in profit, but I had to do that in order to be ready for the MicroStrategy split, so I could run a wheel on it, and I needed cash for that. I didn't have enough cash. I don't just have $16,000 of cash just sitting around. I had it in stocks. So I sold some that were green, down but green still overall, in order to build up that cash position so I could start running a wheel on MicroStrategy. But honestly, I mean, even Riot's looking good down here at 8. We came down. We're on support. Resistance for Riot, though, is a lot closer. I'd still stay away from Riot right now. IREN, what's going on with IREN? We hit our target under $8. Remember how I was saying $8 was the target? It went all the way down to 6. It went to the lowest level of support, and then now it's crawling its way back up to that $8 level. It went back above $8. Now it's fluctuating below $8. Once we break out of, let's see here. Yeah, basically once we break above this line that I've got right there, here, which would be a representation on the daily right now, about 835, 840. Once we get above 835, 840, we've got room up to 964. We conquer 964. We've got room up to 1129, or sorry, 1127. We conquer 1127. We're going all the way back up to the top of the range of 14 bucks. So IREN, I would say, is a buy. I have been buying it. I bought a few hundred shares. I'll buy a few hundred more. That is a buy for me. I might even look at some call options so I could get that exposure to 100 shares with lower cost basis for IREN. CORZ up 18%. CORZ did not like coming down. Wow, CORZ is quite the performer. I don't know what to say about CORZ. It didn't even come down to my line. It didn't even fall worse than as bad as some of the others before coming up 18%. That is insane. CORZ is a strong one right now. Now, if you're in CORZ, congratulations. I mean, you're holding up way better than everyone else. I've stayed away from it due to their history, due to some risk, it being a little extra risky in my opinion for me. I guess I regret that a little bit right now, but that's okay. It's part of my trade plan. Doesn't fit into my trade plan, so I can't do it. And if I don't follow my rules, then I lose money. So that's for me. I'm not in CORZ, but if you are in CORZ, you did awesome. So congratulations to everybody in there. Wolf came down to 270. Man, it blew through all my lines, came all the way down to 270-ish, tapped it, and now it's crawling right back up to my first original line, which I was looking at as an area that I wanted to buy Wolf. So again, Wolf also in a buy zone. They're all in buy zones right now. Hut. Man, I think Hut was what, $22 just a couple days ago. It came all the way down to 965. It is hanging out right at support there, which is also resistance. So it does need to get slightly higher. Like I would like to see Hut get up and above about $13 before I'd be on board with it. But yeah, and then we'd have room all the way up to like $16, even $17 on Hut if it breaks out of its current little area there. So that's great. These are all looking really good. MicroStrategy went past my little box. It went way under it, man. I need just slightly more money, and I am chilling. It went all the way down to almost $1,000. Man, I could have probably bought 10 of those at the time. Man, if I weren't traveling, that would have been a lot easier to deal with. Could have done a lot more buying if the market weren't open at like 3 a.m. where I am. Oh well, it's fine. It's fine. So yeah, we're sitting right above actually support there. So this has room all the way up to about $1,500 again, and it probably will find it pretty fast. And we will see ourselves crawling up nice on MicroStrategy as long as Bitcoin cooperates and doesn't go completely flat. I am expecting Bitcoin to go flat, so I do think I have some time to play with MicroStrategy and to build up that cash position that I need in order to run a wheel on it here starting in a few days. And actually, I guess tomorrow for me, 2 days for if you're in the States. And then we are on our way doing that for MicroStrategy, making something like $800 a week. I can't wait for that. I would love to do a video series on that. If you'd love to see it, let me know. I would love to just do weekly updates on how my MicroStrategy wheel is going and see if we can actually pull off like maybe a 60% success rate on that thing. One last thing I need to talk about is Palantir. Palantir is an absolute beast. So PLTR, if you're not in Palantir, you should really look at Palantir. So NVIDIA is selling the picks and shovels for the AI boom here, and Palantir is selling you the endpoint solutions for it. So Palantir, amazing. So let's take a look here. They had earnings. Check out these earnings. They beat their earnings per share by 11.81%. They beat their revenue by 3.81%. They're growing their commercial segment in a big way. They are, was it like 30% year over year growth on like all the most important metrics? Like they are crushing it, so much so that they were up after this drop. They are now up. They dropped down to $21, and since that drop, they are up already 25% off of that fall just from their earnings alone. That is insane. Honestly, for me, Palantir, my average price is about $23.50. I'd be happy to keep that average all the way up to like $26, $27. I have been running a wheel on it, so I've been selling covered calls on it. I did sell a covered call yesterday on this, expecting it to come back to about 25-ish before going back up, maybe even slightly lower, maybe even like 24.50 before going back up again, at which point I think I will sell a put on there. So I really want to get up to, honestly, my personal goal for Palantir right now is 1,000 shares. I want to get 1,000 shares. I'm at 200. I need to buy a few more because I did sell out of my covered call position during that drop, and I made almost 100% on that. It was about $400, so I do need to buy myself a few more shares based on that. So I'm using that income to buy more shares of Palantir with the goal ultimately of getting about 1,000 shares of Palantir over time, and then running a wheel times 10 on that thing, which is when it's a 200, when it eventually becomes a $100 to $200 stock at some point in the next 5 years or so. That's going to be a lot of income for me. So I'm going to be very happy about that. And that is what I'm very interested in with Palantir. I'm really watching that like Tesla narrative for Palantir in terms of it. It started off at like, a penny stock. It moved up to being, a $15, $20 stock. And now it's a $20 to $30 stock. And then at some point, once Wall Street really figures out what this thing is and they turn on the money printer for it, it's going to come flying up into the S&P 500 and find itself around that like $100 to $200 stock range, maybe even higher. I mean, Tesla was higher for a little while. It might go higher like that for a little while. Now, I'm not saying it's as intense and as great as Tesla as a company, so maybe it might hang out around that lower $100 range, but I do see this as a potentially $100 stock sometime in the future. And I'm not talking like tomorrow or 30 days or something. This is a long-term hold. I'm going to hold this thing for at least 5 years. That is my plan with Palantir. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, and have a profitable day.